This is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Now today I've got a few things to show you from the Curiosity rover, and I may show you one or two things from the newer rover Perseverance as well if there's time. But basically what I've got here is the latest set of images from Curiosity, and this is Sol 4526. These were literally put up only like a day ago, and I've put this together, and this is a gigapan of the images stitched together. And what we have is a ridge near the base of Mount Sharp, near the bottom. The rover's been climbing the sort of lower slopes and driving along the base of the mountain now for years and years, since 2012. 13 years it's been up there. And it's got quite considerable damage to the wheels, which I'll also show you in a minute. But basically, what we have here is a ridge. And on the ridge, we have a structure right here. Let's zoom in carefully like that so you can see it. And this looks artificial. I mean, I really can't see how this is normal. Just a normal, random, sort of broken up ridge. What we have is some blocking here. We have some squarish looking blocks here, or at least one there. And we have this thing, right? Look at the shape of this. And over to the left, it seems to go in to this mountain edge here, or this sort of ridge line here, and then it comes up again here. There's another structure here. Now, I'm hoping in the next few days the rover will move to the left here, and we'll see this a bit more of this thing here, because I think this is related. It seems like it may join inside here and then come out here. This may be an exit or entrance point, right? Either a ventilation shaft or just an actual entrance to an internal mountain structure like we have here, right? Look at the shape of it. And we got this part here. But look at this. This is similar to some of the bunker-like structures I've shown before on Mars, not just in Gale Crater, but all over the place, right? I've shown them in satellite images. I've shown them on the ground as well by various different rovers, including some of the older rovers, right? They were building into the rock. So here's a colorized version of that. And you can see that this thing is part of a structure that goes into this mountainside here. What else can I say? You can actually see the symmetry in it here. We've got a straight top. It's at a funny angle. Now, I don't know why it's kind of leaning like that, but perhaps the actual image is off kilter. The image probably should be more like this. So it'd be tilted more to the right. So it's actually straighter. But the rover is at a funny angle. It's down here, the rover, and it's zoomed into this ridgeline. And you can see right back here, you can actually see like a dried out river bed here. This line here. This goes all the way up and meanders in a sort of zigzag all the way up to the top of the edge of the crater, which is miles and miles away. So there would have been a river flowing down into the lake at the bottom here at one point. But basically what we have here is what seems to be a set of structures in the mountain, and this one's exposed, and we're not seeing all of this one over here, but it looks like there's a way in here, perhaps. We will see. I mean, this may just be random, and it's cracked. This rock here is just cracked and fallen forward slightly. I don't know. But we will see more of that, hopefully, in coming days. Let's look at it full screen like this. Right, now this is just a basic clip, black and white clip. This is a negative, and you can really see that this thing doesn't look natural. Right? There's the colorized clip. We've got this part coming down here. Now, as I've shown before, a lot of the rocks, so-called boulders and rocks we see on Mars, are actually hollow. Some of them are sort of boxes, stone boxes. Some of them are metal boxes. I've shown many of those before. A lot of the things we see on the ground look like corroded kind of iron or steel or something, some kind of metal. And often it looks like they were building into the mountain and also building structures in front of it, which are now mostly obliterated. And this looks like there may have been an actual larger structure here, right? Let's look at the overall thing. There may have been an actual structure here, and these are parts of the remains of that structure. There may have been something here, but it's been completely blown away, perhaps. Just looking at the overall kind of shapes on the side of this thing, as I've shown before, a lot of these structures are literally just remains of ancient structures that were there, and we're just seeing some of the cornerstones and things like that that are left, and only the larger parts are left behind. But they were using concrete, and I have shown many examples of concrete, reinforced concrete as well. Over the years, I've shown loads of examples of that. I've got a whole playlist on that if you check my playlist out. In fact, if you look at my channel page, I've got a whole bunch of playlists here, and I've just updated some of these. And I've recently, in the last year or so, I've been doing a lot more satellite images, and these are really worth checking out because they show not only plants and giant plants and stuff on the ground, but cities and weird structures, these dune structures which look artificial, some of them, city-like formations of structures on the ground, giant trees and plants, and long lines of structures like these weird ruined formations here. Okay, now something interesting also happened in the comments earlier, and Mark Warhill posted this. Now he's referring to this video here, which was called Mars Giant Veg. Now I did that a few years back now, and you can see that on my playlists on my channel page. It's the one with what look like tomatoes on the front, right? But in fact, they're not really that red. They're sort of more of a more yellowy golden colour. But this has been colour filtered by NASA. But what he did is he put that image, he took a screenshot from the Gigapan of this, right? And he put it in GROK and Chat GBT, and they saw it as artificial or genetically uniformed. He took a close-up of the two of them from the Gigamacro image, right? Yeah, from my Gigapan page, right? And they both agreed that they are 90% identical, which is not how a dead natural environment functions. In other words, both ChatGPT and GROK, two very powerful AI systems, have confirmed that these giant veg-like formations that I showed 2 or 3 years ago, I've done a number of videos on these, well worth checking out. It confirms what I said in those videos, that they are probably life forms. In other words, growing, frozen over life forms on the surface, which defrost at certain times of year and then spread and grow and breed and then freeze over in the winter and then go dormant, like sort of maybe the cacti or a type of giant fungus or something like that. But they look like giant plants, okay? So check that out. If you go on my channel page, you can see them here. There's a whole bunch of videos on those, right? This is a really nice one to look at because this is in 4K, and that's the actual colour of them. They're that sort of golden colour. They look like more like apples than they do tomatoes, right? But there's 4 stages of them here. A juvenile, an older one, a larger one, and a breeding one here. They pair, they turn into pairs like this, and then they breed, and then they send out a runner with lots of little ones in a row. Okay? Now these are huge. These are like 200 meters, 300 meters across, some of these, right? I mean, they're absolutely enormous. This is why people struggle. I still struggle even contemplating that there would be a giant vegetable or some kind of plant like this on the ground that big. But that's how big they are. And the thing with Mars is, because of the lower gravity, things could get very, very big indeed, because they don't have the weight restrictions that we do on Earth. Okay? So that was really interesting. And some of you may want to try that. If you take clips of some of the things I've found, recently or from a few years ago or whatever, you can take screenshots straight off the video. There's usually, at the end of each video, there's usually a bunch of screenshots that I've done, full size images. You can just screenshot them. They're good quality. They're high res, and put them into Chat GBT or GROK and see what results you get. Because one or two other people have tried this and got similar results, and this is fascinating. I mean, of course, I don't need AI to tell me I'm right about these things. I just know these things are something like what I say they are. Not necessarily exactly. I don't usually give an exact answer to these things because I can't possibly know until we get on the ground. But you can tell these things are not just natural rocks or dunes, okay? That is obvious to anybody that looks at them. And if you look at them properly, with an open mind, you will come to similar conclusions to me. I'm sure of it. Okay. So there we are. I mean, we've got this structure here. Now, there was something else here. This is also a recent set of images from Curiosity. This is Sol 4518, mass left and mass right here. We got a large panoramic of the base of Mount Sharp. So this is looking from a distance and then zooming in, but this is also only in black and white, unfortunately. But what we do have is a set of images here taken by the ChemCam, the chemistry camera, which is actually pretty good. And that's got a very, they use the zoom on it and they zoom right into the mountain like they've done here. And we got this view here, which is pretty cool, I think, this icy kind of mount. But why would a mountain have another mountain on it like that? It's very odd, and this may also be artificial. There are lots of weird structures on the top of, or on the sort of slopes of Mount Sharp, and a lot of them look artificial, like ziggurats or eroded and broken down pyramids and that kind of thing. And I've shown those before as well. This may be another one. Very interesting view. But what I've got here, what I want to show you really, was the wheels. And after 13 years on Mars, this is what some of the wheels look like, okay? Some of them, luckily, 2 or 3 of them were actually in pretty good nick. But unfortunately, 2 or 3 of them were also in very bad condition, particularly this one here. I mean, look at the state of this. I'll go full screen, I'll zoom in. Look at that. Now, this is why the rover doesn't move that far as much now. It moves slowly, but I mean, it can actually run on probably 3 wheels, depending on which ones fail completely. If the right ones fail, it could run on 3 or 4 quite easily. So it can afford to lose 2 wheels. I think these are the front ones. Because are they the front ones or the middle ones? Yeah, actually, I think they're the middle ones, these are. Yeah. Now, on a 6-wheel vehicle, the middle ones get more stress, right? Because when they go over something hard on the ground, like wreckage, for instance, metal wreckage, which isn't supposed to be there, it tends to punch through these rather thin wheels, right? And the second row of wheels get more stress because when they're going over something, more weight is transferred onto those than on the front or the back. And they get more damage that way. But they're being punched through. Now, I noticed this quite early on. They were getting punched through with punch holes. You can actually see a punch hole here. So it's not just where they've gone over a rock. They've gone over something sharp and it's punched a hole in it. Like a sharp piece of metal, reinforced concrete metal sticking out. As I've shown dozens of times before. The stuff's all over the place. Around this area, there's loads of reinforced concrete with metal bars and rebars sticking out. Sharp pieces of metal, okay? And that's what it does. It punches holes through the wheels, right? Random rocks don't do that. You get punch holes. Literally, almost like a knife or blade punching through it. Okay? So that's why they're in such a state, because they're literally driving over reinforced concrete with rebar sticking out. and it's all over the place. And much of it just looks like this, which is just kind of sedimentary layers of rock. But occasionally you get formations with spikes sticking out, like I've shown, on the ground. And sometimes those spikes will stick through the wheels. You have them sticking up from the ground or sticking out. And the rover normally avoids larger objects on the ground. It's trained to do that. I mean, the cameras will pick up obstacles and they would just drive around things. But occasionally there's kind of spikes in the ground which they don't spot, and they kind of just drive over them, and they just punch holes through the wheels. That's what happens. Um, it's amazing the amount of damage, really, and it's still rolling. It's not rolling very quickly. It's moving very slowly at the moment, and this is one of the reasons why they're being a bit more cautious now, I think. Um, but NASA can be a little bit reckless, as we saw with the copter drone with Perseverance. They were trying to break all these records, flight records, and they pushed it too hard and crashed it, which was really stupid, right? But it was getting to a point where there was, because it was solar powered, the solar panels on it were covered in dust and it was losing power, and it was getting to a point where there wasn't quite enough power on it for it to do much. So I think they kind of crashed it deliberately, sabotaged their own chopper, their own copter drone, right? So, I mean, check some of these out. I mean, I'll put links to the main page in the description below. There'll be links to this one. There's also this one here. This is Solve 4507. So this is going back a couple of weeks now, this one. And this is a good example of strange wreckage on the ground, which looks metallic, right? A weird formation. I've called it just strange wreckage formation. I don't know exactly what this was. It's very hard to tell, but you can see that there was something here, some kind of metal object, and there is some of it left sticking up out of the ground, and they look very strange. Look at this here. This thing seems to be hovering or is suspended off the ground. We've got this part sticking out in a diagonal this way, right? Let me go full page like that. There we are. There it is. Look. I mean, does that look like a normal rock formation to you? Doesn't to me. We got different coloured material here to the actual rock. This is rock here. But this stuff's different luminosity and colour. And we've got this sort of diagonal part sticking out and a piece being suspended below it here, hanging from that. And it looks like it may have been attached to this. And when you start looking around this area, you think, well, hang on a minute. Looks like there was some kind of structure here, just here, and we got bits of metal on the ground, all kind of torn up and eroded and corroded. What the hell is this here? I mean, this is just strange, right? This thing. Very odd. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you, but it's very strange indeed. And the way this thing seems to be suspended like this, hovering off the ground, is pretty crazy, right? Do rocks do that? No. This is metal. This is metal. I'm pretty sure of that. I mean, some of the stuff here is just really weird, and it's often hard to tell what you're looking at, especially in black and white. But you can usually tell by luminosity that of different materials, right? Now these are much darker luminosity than these bright kind of slabs on the ground. So that is a different material to this. You can tell that even in black and white, okay? So that was it really. I could go on and show you a load more stuff, but check out my Gigapan links below in the description, as always, and you can check out some of my latest ones. And there's clear evidence on this page alone that proves, without any shadow of a doubt in my mind, that there was a civilization on Mars and may still be some activity going on. There are UFOs up there as well that I've shown going back years near the rovers, coming right up near the rovers as well. I've shown those. Some of them are quite large with wings like drones or something. Crazy looking stuff, okay? Unbelievable. Um, I really can't believe some of it, to be honest. It is absolutely insane. So check out my playlists. There's a lot of evidence. If you're new to this channel, there is tons of evidence for not only past life on Mars, but also things like these giant veg here, which may be the largest living organisms ever discovered. Okay? Absolutely huge. And you can see long strings of them here where they breed, and they form long, like, string beans along the ground, and then they hatch. And it's all explained in those videos. You can go back and watch. There's a full length version of this as well, which you can see. But basically, it looks like Chat GBT and GROK agree with my speculation that these are probably living creatures or plants. Okay? That is pretty cool. So thanks for watching, everybody. Like I said, check out links below, follow the stuff, look at the Gigapans yourself, take your own clips. Let me know what you think this is. I mean, I know a lot of you out there are working construction and or builders and stuff like that. So let me know what you think. This looks artificial to me. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.